Hello and welcome back to Stories of Resilience. I'm here with my sister today, Brittany Gonzalez. Say hi.
I would just wave, was that not enough? Hi.
Today's topic is something very personal to Brittany. We're going to be talking about unplanned pregnancy. So you're living in Kenya.
I was living in Kenya, yes.
And obviously you guys know where this is going. She eventually, well, I know you were going on a safari one day.
I was supposed to be going camel racing, and what had actually happened was the weekend before that, I had been feeling off for a while, but I blamed it on the alcohol. And the whole weekend I was just not myself. I was tired and I felt sick and I didn't want to go out. I had never missed a birth control pill. So in my mind, it just wasn't even a possibility. And my best friend was G-chatting me from the Philippines, and she's saying, Brittany, I really think you're pregnant, go get a test. So I ran down to the local pharmacy. And in Kenya, all the pharmacies are kind of these little shops, independently owned, very often by Christian Indian families, so a very conservative vibe when you're going in. And the pregnancy test they keep behind the counter in like a little locked box. So I went up and asked for one, and I could feel the eyes looking to my fingers to see if there's a ring, and there wasn't.
Oh, and they're like,
I felt lots of judgment and shame, but it was okay. And so yeah, I went home, took the test, and it's not just a little stick. It's not an easy test. This is like the dollar store test, you know, that you buy where you have to have a little dropper and you have to like pee into a cup and then suck it up.
Why? This is the kind they had in Kenya?
You had to suck it up with a dropper and then you drop it on the test. So it's a process, and I'm nervous. So, you know, my hands are shaking and I'm trying to like get enough for the dropper and like finally get the test. And of course, as soon as it starts going across, and it's just the pink line started to show up a little sooner than it normally would, because, you know, it's the one line if it's negative and it's further back. Yeah, so I saw like the pink line too soon. And so at that second I kind of knew, but was hoping that maybe my test was just awkward, and it wasn't.
So in that moment, it was panic or what?
In that moment, it was, oh my God, I'm having a baby.
Okay.
It was
not,
never,
oh my God, I have to get rid of the baby.
It was never, oh my God, I'm pregnant, or, you know, what am I going to do? It was, I'm having a baby.
Okay, so now you're pregnant. Now you have to decide what to do.
Now I'm pregnant. I haven't told the father yet.
But this is where it gets into the resilience that we're trying to talk about. I mean, that has to have been completely terrifying.
It was terrifying. Oh, and so back to how we started the story, I was supposed to be going camel racing.
Oh, yes.
This is now a Thursday, you know, Friday morning. We were supposed to be leaving at 5 a.m. to go up north to Kenya, where there's this huge camel festival every year. And basically a bunch of foreigners come and like make assholes out of themselves. And can I say that? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like there's a camel triathlon and a camel race, like a horse race, but it's like a camel weekend. So I kind of passive aggressively email my then boyfriendish guy that I was dating and say, I can't come camel racing. And he was like, oh, is it your stomach? And I said, yeah. And
did he catch on?
No, not at all. He didn't catch on at all. But I'm laying in bed thinking like, well, I'm pregnant. I'm going to be pregnant for the next 3 days with like him not knowing, and
he's going away and everything.
He's going away.
And all your friends are gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So at midnight that night, I had texted. I was like, we have to talk about something when you get back. Kind of. I was still so scared to say it, you know? And so we ended up coming over that night, and I told him, and he was fine.
Okay.
He was fine.
He took it okay?
He was okay. But I think everyone at this point's reaction had kind of been, we support you if you don't want to keep the baby.
So where did you make this decision? Like, I guess nobody knows yet. But, well, I won't give it away.
Well, I have a 2.5-year-old.
She has a 2.5-year-old.
So I did keep the baby. And for me, it wasn't a decision. Because I knew. I felt like it had to. Everyone made me feel
other
like
people
it
were
had
pressuring
to be.
you.
Yeah. People kind of like,
maybe you're not ready for children. Right. It's obviously an unconventional way.
You know, the father wasn't ready at all. His family really wasn't ready at the time.
Yeah.
Or the people he talked to. So I think that he maybe wasn't feeling great.
But did you feel ready? Like, what does someone do if they are Googling, YouTubing for unplanned pregnancy and this video comes up? Like, what advice do you have for that person? Yeah,
for me, I just knew, right? When I peed on that stick and it was positive, my thought was, I'm having a baby. My thought was never, I have to make a really hard choice.
So it's important to be aware of the first thought that comes into mind.
Just be mindful of how you feel as opposed to what everyone else around you is feeling. What I usually tell my friends who have been through similar situations since, now that we're all kind of hitting our 30s, I guess, and getting pregnant, people too, if it has to be a decision, really think about it. Because almost every single person I know who's had, and I don't want to say that it's the same for anyone. I want to be very mindful of that, and I'm a very pro-choice individual.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's why a lot of people just assumed I would have an abortion, because I am so pro-choice.
Right. That it wouldn't be an issue for you.
Right. Almost everyone I know who's had an abortion, for some it was very easy, for some it was very difficult, but it never really had to be a decision. It was, they were pregnant and they knew they couldn't have the baby. If you're really thinking about it, and for me, I knew that if I was not giving birth when that due date rolled around, I wasn't going to be okay. That's how I felt. I felt like it's going to destroy me. So you felt like
it was going to, okay. Like just the fact of it? I mean, because here's someone, to say something about you, I mean, Brittany's atheist. So nothing about it is, it's a life, right? I mean, did you believe that it's a life?
No. In my mind, it felt like, in 5-week-old fetus, a ball of cells is very much how I see it. But when it's your ball of cells,
you're like, this is
very different. Oh. And it's not that I felt like it was a person inside of me so much as this is a thing that I think I want. It's like, I was 27, I think. 26?
I think you were 26.
26 or 27
26
when I got pregnant.
I mean, young.
And it's young, but also not so young.
Not so young that it's inconceivable or irresponsible.
I had, my mom immediately, or waited a couple of days and then told my dad, who immediately said, you have our support either way. So I was very, very fortunate in that any financial worries that I had were kind of taken out of the picture in terms of having to raise a child. Like, I was very privileged in the way I got to make the decision.
Yeah.
And most people don't have that kind of privilege. So for me, it was, I'm not a 16-year-old here. I'm an adult. I've been living in several countries all over the world. I kind of have a bit of a career going. I feel mature enough for this.
Yeah.
And then in the background, I had my parents saying, well, it's okay. Like, if you need to move home, you need to move home. So I had all of these things that would, I think, in my mind, justify not keeping the baby kind of taken care of, if that makes sense. I couldn't say that I wasn't ready emotionally, because I kind of was. And I couldn't say that it was finances, because it wasn't. And so for me, I just wanted the baby. And I think...
Yeah, and I think the important thing, to say where you are now, I feel like this baby has 100% obviously changed your circumstances. You're living in America now, changed your life, changed all of that. But it seems like you've grown as a person because of it. It's been like a very positive thing in your life, hasn't it?
Yeah, she's great. It's, the old cliche, you can't ever imagine the love you'll feel for your child. And I hated it when people said that stuff to me.
But now she says it to me all the time.
It does.
You don't know what it's like to be a mother.
But you really don't. Because and especially a mother, because that person grows inside of you for 9 months. She came out and she would make kicks and movements that I'm like, oh, that's what she was doing when she was inside of me. That's how she made that kick. You can't imagine knowing something that well. So it's great. Now, I desperately miss living overseas. I desperately miss working with refugees. I do not like being in Florida. Living at home with my parents at 30 isn't what I thought I would be doing at 30. That said, our parents are very easy people to live with, and it's probably not the struggle that some people might imagine it to be. I'm sure there are some 30-year-olds living at home that really have a hard time with it. We really don't, or I don't. You're here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Assuming it's okay.
That's fine.
But... it's hard. But not as hard as you think. I don't know.
Worth it, maybe?
Definitely worth it.
I think the point is, it's like sometimes these crazy life events happen that are going to change your world. And then it feels awful. Like when you were pregnant, I was like, this is the worst thing that could happen.
She thought it was the worst
I was like, nothing could be worse than this happening. And then it happens, and then you make the decision, am I going to keep it or not? And then you kept it. So the point is, if this is happening to you, anyone watching this, I think it's like instinct seems what I got from you first.
Yeah, it'll be okay. Listen to your instinct in terms of emotionally and what you're feeling and what connection you're feeling to what's happening inside of you. Obviously also take into account external factors like finances and work and things that I'm very lucky that
you were able to adjust.
For the most part, leave out of my decision or knew that I could make it work.
Yeah.
but just it's not a decision to take lightly, and it's not something that's going to ruin your life. It's
There
really
you go.
not.
Yeah, no matter what happens, I don't think it could ever be something that would ruin your life.
No, it's...
Yeah, that's actually, I like that, leaving on that note.
Okay.
Yeah.
It won't ruin your life.
Thank you. Having an unplanned pregnancy will not ruin your life.
Moral of the story, kids.
Brittany, thank you. I think
welcome.
you're very resilient and brave for doing that. And she actually, the whole thing happened with flying colors, in my opinion. The pregnancy and the birth and the child
I
is
wouldn't
wonderful.
say the pregnancy happened with flying colors. I think my pregnancy and birth were pretty miserable. But everything
Anyway,
after that has been great.
But everything after that has been wonderful. Thank you, Brittany, and thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.